Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the entire United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by whom? Created by you, we the people, folks. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. But before we get started, let me immediately throw it to the studio, and then we'll be back. Good morning, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jack Van Bibber.
Well, good morning, Egberto. I don't know what the urgency is here. Just a couple of guys avoiding work. Good morning. It is Monday morning at the radio, the 9th of June, 2025, and we are still in pledge drive. So, folks, we're looking.
Annie up.
Well, we're looking for your support, as we have for the last 55 years here, and you have supported us. That's why this radio station exists today, because of 55 years of great support from you, the listener.
Anyway, let's go ahead and you know what time it is? It is time.
We do know what time it is.
It's time for
and what
wisdom.
time is it, my friends? It is time for wisdom.
For wisdom,
There you go.
Yes.
Let's hear some of it, because I sure don't have any.
One of our good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. One of the biggest problems the American citizen has is a Supreme Court that is out of balance and skewed to the right. The industrial corporate influence over this court is apparent in the fact that it usually makes decisions that favor corporate will over the desires of the citizens. As this court and its 6 far-right justices side with DOGE on its dangerous power grab of your Social Security data. America, you have to fix your Supreme Court or you're not going anywhere.
Let's bring out the toolkit.
Yes, we do need to fix the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court needs to get out of the hands of these plutocrats, which well, it's always been, but from Citizens United, it just went on steroid. We got McCutcheon and all these other rulings that really, really put the American citizen at risk. But anyhow, we have a great program for you today, my brothers and sisters. Marge KJ is early from Chesapeake, Virginia, and she says, "Morning, Egberto from Chesapeake, VA. Great stuff from this weekend." Yeah, we had some good programming this weekend as well, sis. And on our other chats, we have in the house, first person in the house is Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. The East Coast is representing. Anyway, folks, look, before I get started, we are in Facts Fund Drive, and I would love for us to start early this weekend. Before I want to tell you, we do this Coffee with Egberto. This for our fund drive is $250, and we have great listeners, great supporters. We have somebody right now that has donated one of the Coffee with Egberto, and he's out of town. He's, I think, in Pennsylvania. So he, over the weekend when we had our chats on for our supporters, he went ahead and he said, you know what? He's going to pick somebody out of that pool to go out for the Coffee with Egberto. So he's still working on that, and he's still shooting names past me. Hello, Dennis and Cheryl Elkins. So let's work on that. Let's go ahead, some more folks, and have that Coffee with Egberto, $250 for those who have the wherewithal. Whether you are here or not, you can always pass it on to somebody in the Houston metropolitan area. Now, this Saturday morning, I went out with Patrick, and Patrick is one of our Coffee with Egberto supporters, and we had a ball. He brought his girlfriend with him. I could say his better half with him, and it was all fun this weekend. So, let's do it, guys. I know a lot of you can, think about how great that is. It's just a support thing for the station to keep the station alive and at the same time get good stuff done. So anyhow, the big story right now is what's occurring in California right now. And I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to sit down and talk about how crazy things are in California, because really they're not. These are legit protests against something that is really, really bad. I can tell you what I remember from Wisconsin, what I remember from several of these cities in Portland where Black Lives Matter protests were occurring for George Floyd. I can tell you that we have videos of people going in there from the outside to create havoc, who were really not part of the legitimate protests that was going on. And we're seeing the same thing in LA. It would not surprise me if some of those cars that were burned were burnt on behalf of whom. So what I have to tell anybody getting ready to protest in whatever city that they are in is make sure and separate yourself from those who are supporting this administration and are trying to infiltrate legitimate protests to give the president a reason to create the Insurrection Act. I am not going to accept any messaging from any right-wing person. I'm not going to give them the platform here at all to discuss LA. And let me tell you what my rationale is for that. Until these folks come out and speak about what January 6th really represented, a terrorist attack on the United States, they do not have the right to use our public airwaves to create not even a false equivalence, but a no equivalence between what occurred on January 6th in DC with any protests at any part of this country. So anybody who does that will immediately be cut off, because this is a place of truth and honesty. Nothing more, nothing less. All right. Now, the other thing that I'm not going to do is spend the entire program on what we call what Uju would call the distractions. And yes, that the media is spending an inordinate amount of time, day in, day out. I'm looking at Morning Joe right now, and the pictures, the captions that we're seeing are the riots from last afternoon and last evening. And I think it's uncalled for. And why is it uncalled for? We're showing all these riots in LA. But guess what we're not showing? We're not showing the thousands, and listen to what I'm telling you guys. We're not showing the thousands of peaceful but effective protests around the country at the offices, at the Social Security offices, the offices of representatives, at political office throughout the country. Thousands of protests are occurring all over every single day, because these are people trying to protect America from the disaster that is the big ugly bill. But that isn't shown 24/7 on Morning Joe. That isn't shown 24/7 on MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, or any of these other stations. True American protests against an evil bill that will not only harm most Americans, but harm those who elected the Führer. And you don't see that on TV. But splashed across CNN, the purported liberal channel, flashed against MSNBC, the purported channel, liberal channel. And you don't see these protests of Americans trying to hold up their rights, hold up that which is, and make sure to fight that which is evil. When I talk about the fourth estate, the media being responsible for much that ails this nation, I mean it. Let me just say this. Cheryl says the following. She says, peaceful protests are not being covered. They aren't interested enough. We having trouble getting covered here, even deep in blue country. Doesn't bring clicks. Here's the thing about it, right? It would bring clicks, Cheryl, if it's framed correctly. Protests against them murdering you. Protests against them killing you. We have heroes in where are you, Cheryl? I can't remember what state you're in. Let's assume you're in Massachusetts. I think that's where you are. Protesters in Massachusetts defending the lives being taken by our government. I mean, framed correctly, they will take, but that is what we have to do. That is what we have to do. When I say we, I'm talking about those who are protesting. It is imperative for them to go out there and be, and by the way, even though you're not covered many times by local media, it is okay. It is okay, even as you're not covered, for you to give it to your private media, your independent media. In other words, as I'm telling you right here, Cheryl, you said your protests are not covered. Make sure and get videos, make sure and get pictures and send them to me. Send them to me. I will make sure those things get covered on our network and by extension on Daily Coast, by extension on Op-Ed News, by extension on a lot of other places. But we, at Coffee Party, we had a program called Be the Media. And what it meant is we could not trust the mainstream media. We could not trust the corporate media, which is the mainstream media. So we had to be the media ourselves, and we had to create networks to get the information out. I'm going to pause here and go to Richard, and then we'll continue. Richard, come on in.
Thank you, Egberto. Please let me finish. Let me make my statement completely, and then I'll listen.
Well, let me just, before you make your statement completely, you only get to make a statement completely if you're not using our airwaves to lie. That's all. That's the only restriction. Proceed, my brother.
That's fine. That's great. Okay. I want to shake these people and say it's nothing. Have you never been wrong in your life? There's nothing wrong with saying I'm adjusting my thinking. I found out that I'm wrong. Now, having said that, I want you to tell me what you think you have in common with these people. You keep saying we have more in common. I have nothing, zero, none, nada in common with these haters. You need to admit, you know what? I was wrong. I have nothing in common with these haters, Egberto. You need to get off of this. We have something in common, more in common than we have not in common. You understand me? Okay, I'm going to shut up and listen to you.
Okay, don't leave, though. Don't leave. Thank you for saying that, though, brother. Let me tell you this. I have spoken. I think you're talking when you say we don't have anything at all in common with MAGA. Is what you're trying to talk. Is what you're implying. Is that? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now I know a lot of MAGA folks, and let me tell you, even I should say even worse. I have relatives who are MAGA, unfortunately. And what I can tell you is I know these people love their kids. I know these people want good health care. I know a lot of these things these people want as well as we do. Richard, I hear you. And by the way, before I answer this also, I understand your frustration. I understand that to some extent, even a level of hate, because it's easy. That is the easy answer. It really is the easy answer.
I hate hate. So yeah, that umbrella takes care of the MAGA.
Brother, I'm with you, but if you give me a chance to answer, you said you were going to let me answer, right? Are you?
Okay. I'm sorry.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So here we go, brother. Here's the thing. You hear my show all of the times, and I talk about what the plutocracy is doing. I talk about what the right-wing media is doing. I talk about think tanks that understand psychology very well. If you have a son and your son has a mental problem and your son beats you and your son hits you, you try to attenuate his beating, you try to mitigate his beating of you. But you want to still keep him safe, and you still love your son because your son is mentally ill. Am I correct?
But you're.
No. All I was asking is a yes or no answer. That's all I wanted. Yes, you're saying I'm correct. Correct?
You asked. You're comparing oranges to apples. Go ahead.
I understand. But walk with me here. Now, my contention is this: our minds are wired differently. Some of our minds are wired perfectly for empathy. And a lot of us aren't wired necessarily for empathy. We have to feel the pain first. That's why you have a lot of Republicans in Congress that they never supported gay rights until they found out their kids were gay. They didn't support trans rights until one of them specifically had a trans kid. And there's some of us that have different levels of empathy. And also, there are, and I know I'm talking of this on a sort of a book level, right? You also have some people that are easily manipulated. That's their mindset. And then we have a government or a plutocracy that has all the money in the world to do psychological research on how best to get you. All of that was detailed, not in those words, in the Powell memo on how do we control America, because America is getting smarter and we're going to rid ourselves of the plutocracy. And the plutocracy was gotten rid of when America realized that the economic system in this country are screwing all of us, not just you and me, but MAGA and everybody else. So the idea had to be, we go ahead and mess with their minds and create boogie people. These other people, these black folks are the ones that are attacking you. These Mexicans are the ones that's causing your problem. These gay folks, and it works. They work on the carnality that we have from our inception as human beings. Now, if I go ahead and just hate MAGA, Richard, okay? If I just go ahead and hate MAGA and hate all these other people, I have ceded the win to the plutocracy, to those who are doing the job of taking this country. I have to be a bigger person. I must be a bigger person to win. I have to get a certain number of these guys. I know it's hard to swallow, and you don't have to swallow it. I'm not asking you, Richard, to swallow it. What I'm asking you, Richard, is not to stop me from doing something, or not to demean me, or if you will, for trying to do something, for not letting these guys win. I let them win if I go ahead and ensure that these guys' policies work, that messing with MAGA's mind ultimately works in the end. Don't you see at least some bit of what I'm saying here? Honestly.
I see your opinion. Yeah. And MAGA depends on people like you having that opinion. Nazism depended on people using cognizant reasoning. That's what I'm trying to tell you is I have zero and you have zero in common with people that do not use cognizant reasoning to finish out their lives, to accept facts as facts and fiction as fiction. When they got them crossed over. Now,
let me ask you, Richard. Let me ask you this now. I told you what my rationale was. If you think these people are all of them are irredeemable. I do think some of them are irredeemable. I don't think all are. But what would your solution be?
You got to have a repercussion for believing in this BS for 10 years. The repercussions is you don't get to run with Richard. I don't run with people who run with Trump chumps. That has to be a repercussion. Instead of going along going, oh, yeah, well, we just have a difference of opinion. No, you have to let these people know, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be around you. This kind of ignorance gets you killed. They proved it by denying COVID-19, by not wearing a mask, by refusing to get vaccinated, by refusing social distancing, by accepting hydrochloric, whatever. You see my point?
Yeah. I see. Look, Lee. I mean, Richard. I honestly don't think first of all, I respect you, and don't think that I don't understand what you're saying. I just in speaking in working with people, and I live in the reddest part of Houston, and I have actually seen, like I said, it's not 100%, not even 50%, but enough percentage so that with those of us would still remain the majority, would we can make that delta difference. But let me tell you what's disconcerting to me. What's disconcerting to me is otherwise many progressive people, some of these teachings from MAGA has actually started to permeate some people that once had sense. And those are the kinds of things I think we got to mitigate, Richard. And doing that requires that we, again, like I said, I have a friend who started to sound pretty MAGA, not a friend, more than one, sound pretty MAGA. But guess what? This was a true progressive, but some of it hit that part of the brain that puts you into that war zone of not thinking right. So look, Richard, I hear you. I can't apologize on this one though, Richard, but I do respect you, brother. Okay. And you know that's right?
Yeah, I do. I know you know who I am. Read The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. You probably have.
I haven't read it, but I've read excerpts, but haven't read it. But I tell you what, I believe in history and I believe in learning from history. And the thing about it is I don't give MAGA a break. I just don't go out there and simply separate myself from MAGA or try to be undo. In other words, if you slap me, I'm going to slap you twice as hard. Put it that way.
Egberto,
Yes,
as Americans, the only thing we learn from history is that we refuse to learn from history.
I agree with that.
Over and over again. The war against drugs, same thing as prohibition. Didn't work then, and we try to repeat it now. Trying to prop up a democracy in countries that they have not a clue what democracy is. We tried it in Vietnam, didn't work. We tried it again in Iran. We don't learn anything from history. And now we got Nazism. We got fascism. We didn't learn a damn thing from World War II. We don't learn from history. The only thing that we learn from history is that we don't learn anything from history. Now, you want me to accept these people as, we have a lot more in common than we don't know. I'm sorry. You go ahead and play. If that works for you, good. And I don't diss you for it. That's you. But you've been doing it for so long now. After what happens is happening in California right now, I had to call you and tell you need to let go of that, man, because you don't have anything in common with haters. You really don't.
All right, Richard. Let's keep talking and keep calling and keep listening, brother. Okay. And let's, maybe I'll find out something later on. But like I said, I've seen people change, but we'll talk. Thank you for calling, Richard. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you, brother. All right. Look, folks, I understand where Richard is coming from. And a lot of folks, look, I'll be honest with you. I've lost some 3 o'clock listeners. I keep in touch with them by text, but they've just told me, I'm gone, Egberto. I can't take this. And I get it. I understand it. Okay. I really, really do. But I have to do what I think, I have to try to, well, you know where I stand. Anyway, folks, welcome aboard E2247. Harry Denson says, good morning, Jack and Sandy and Howard and Mayana. Harry Denson Jr. is in the house. Jack is right. America must elect progressive Democrat people in 2027. Then the new Democratic president can expand the Supreme Court. Let's see. For any POTUS to do, this is from E2247. For any POTUS to do that, our relatives' Pentecost observance is abominable. That came from, I asked for your help. resisting on Saturday night protests for issuance of the memo. You're correct, sir. You're correct. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas, in the house. Of course, we have let's see as well. Miss T Marie. She says, I need the film and follow the hashtag people are using to draw awareness. Yeah, we need to work with hashtags. And she also says, Egberto is the best. America needs more like him. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Steele. Love you, lady. And Billy Irwin is in the house from Summerwood. Welcome, Billy. T.S. Marie, I can't remember where you're from. Did you put it in the chat? I don't think you did. I'm coming to you, Patrick, in a second. G the Beard says, I've made 3 pledges with 2 sustaining, but dude, get a spine. Brother, I love you, G Beard. And you know why? Because believe it or not, you're doing exactly what I'm doing. G Beard say I'm weak. Okay. I'm not going to take offense to that, right? At all. G Beard has given to our program several times, and he continues to give to the program because G Beard is a good man. He just disagrees with me, and he thinks I am spineless. He likes my policies, but he doesn't like that I don't nail MAGA. I hear you, G Beard. I hear you. Work with me, G Beard. Okay. Welcome aboard, Peggy Walton, Pamela Daniels, Fred Hampton, Meredith Vetter, Jennifer Lang, Angster Fairland, Bill, no last name, Cheryl Elkins, Kat, Rita Casey. Wow, a bunch. I can't read them all, but you guys know I all love you. I went out to have coffee, like I mentioned with you, with Patrick on Saturday for coffee with Egberto. Why don't some of you take care of that? I tell you, Patrick, did you have fun or did you have fun? And also, did your lady have fun?
I did, and then I had some objectives that I told you about beforehand, and those were accomplished. We had a full day of really serious discussion, and we've been dating for over 5 years, so we learned a lot about each other that we didn't know afterwards. So I definitely appreciate that.
Well, great. And it was, let me tell you, folks. It's all about communicating, whether you're of like mind or not, because all of us around that table were not of like mind, but we all had fun, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so what do you call for my dear brother?
I think his name was Rick. He confronted you earlier.
Yes, he did.
And we don't have anything. We don't have anything in common with MAGA. In physics, we do. Well, I don't say we. I can't claim to be a physicist in the field.
A physicist.
They test boundaries by extremes, and sometimes when you do that with arguments, the arguments fall on their face, or they just don't. They don't accomplish what we like. What I have in common with MAGA is I'm exploited. What else I have in common with MAGA is that I think that things need to change. What I do not have in common is my approach to how that change needs to come about. I have a lot more in common with them. I can make a long list, but I think that y'all understand what I'm trying to say.
I am so glad that you actually said it better than my response to Richard, Patrick. I should have used that partially, that argument as well, because that is an excellent point that you just made there. The economic system is exploiting both of us, but looking at who the boogie person is, etc., is what has us screwed. Thank you for that. Anything else, my brother?
No, sir. Have a great day.
You too, my man. All right, let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
It sounds like we have a case here of good cop, bad cop. Why do you need to be the good cop when you got people like me to be the bad cop? At least I'm not going around taking people's money out of their pockets or beating them up or kidnapping them, hiding my face. I'm a different kind of a bad cop. I say, naughty, naughty, and I point out how you're naughty. It's your job to be diplomatic. That's how I see it. Good cop, bad cop.
I appreciate that, Johnny. I mean, you know what? It's funny because you never used to. You gave me a lot more hell in the past, and now you're a little bit nicer about what I do. And maybe Brother G Beard is going to say, "Okay, Egberto, I'm going to let you have that good cop for a minute, right, G Beard? I know you're still in the chat, G Beard. Anything else, Johnny? Before I play, I have some Hartman to play real quick. It's a short one.
Yes, on an unrelated note, I love the names of some of your listeners, like Bear Cat. Think about it. A bear and a cat that's like a bear. She must be one ferocious dudette.
Have a good one, Johnny. All right, I need to give a thank you to Robin. Thank you so kindly, Robin, for contributing to Politics Done Right. There's Robin on the line. So before I go to Hartman, let me go ahead and bring Robin in, and then I'll go to Hartman. Come on, Robin. Robin, you're on, and maybe you're on mute. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just had a simple statement. I'll take Bruce's 1 minute this week. A consistent message that I've been saying is the phrase criminal, illegal, alien is a symptom of racism, and I would like those people to please seek help. And also, same concept when it comes to seeing justice being served by immigrants being kidnapped off the streets. And remember, God loves everybody, MAGA and liberals.
Robin, let me tell you, thank you for those words. And let me tell you, better, it's coming from you, because we need more women calling in. I think testosterone sometimes can make things a lot more difficult than it should be. Thank you so kindly, Robin.
Yes,
oh, you have something? Go ahead. Go. Did you have something else to say?
Well, I'm a woman, and also I'm on the East Coast time. So most of the time, I'm either getting to work or getting home from work and or dealing with children. So that's what
I got you. Thank you. Thank you so kindly, Robin. All right, let me go ahead and give you guys some, as Sandy said, he's going to be in town, Thom Hartman. So I'm asking all of you in the area to go ahead and get at least a $5 sustainer, or just go ahead and give the price of the ticket for Thom Hartman right now, because we want to fill that place up. You guys love Thom Hartman. You love what he has to offer. So here we go. Today, we're honored to have Thom Hartman. Thom Hartman is a New York Times bestselling author of over 30 books and the #1 progressive radio host in the entire country. He's been doing this for decades. His show airs on Sirius XM, radio stations nationwide, and on Free Speech TV. Thom, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Egberto. It's always so great to hang out with you.
Well, I mean, it's great having you. And, the people in Houston listening to KPFT and beyond are kind of excited, because on August 9th, you are going to be out here in Houston with a soiree with us out here at the Emerson Unitarian Universal Church. What are you going to talk to us about?
In all probability, the news of the day, the latest, the news cycle is moving so fast that, it's really hard to predict what's going to be at the top of the list 2 months from now. But, generally speaking, I try to frame things in a historical context, and also in the context of understanding the rule of law in our Constitution. So I'm sure those will play a role in what we're talking about, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, interestingly, you have a big fan base here, and I know those tickets are going hot, and cool. People are picking up those tickets to come out there and see. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, in Houston, interesting things are happening in that Houston is a democratic, pretty progressive part of Texas. But interestingly, the county as well is democratic, but we have an infiltration coming in from the right, and they're playing the same games that you talk a whole lot about on your program by bringing in money and trying to convince the people with the misinformation that it's a constancy. Do you find that happening throughout your areas as well, or?
Yeah. It's the simple reality is the right wing, when they get their way, they get richer because they get tax cuts and they get subsidies and they get deregulation. And so there's a massive incentive for wealthy people and big corporations to throw money into anything that's going to increase the power of the right wing. On the other hand, when the left wing gets power, then people's taxes go up. Yes, more average people are helped, but the very wealthy people, the ones who are funding most of this stuff, they're generally speaking totally committed to the right. And even the ones on the left just kind of like to, stay out of politics and, I'm going to stay above all that. So it's a real tragedy. It's a real problem, and we see it played out in national politics, of course, all the time.
Well, I hope when you journey on here to Houston, that you'll have some good advice for the folks, because it's going to get very serious next year when that commissioner's court. Right now we're run by a young woman, first Latina, youngest person to run the entire county, most important position in the county, and I think it's going to be a war out here, and people are going to want to hear some of your advice as far as how to handle that.
Well, I always close my show with democracy is not a spectator sport. Get out there, get active, tag, you're it, and I think that that's the message. And I know that's also, your primary message, that it's up to us. We have to do this. We have to talk to our friends and neighbors. We have to be active on social media. We have to get out on the streets. We have to reach out to our legislators. We've got to fight for this country. Generations of people before us shed blood for us to have the right to have these conversations. And not just you and me. By the us, I'm talking about anybody who is watching, everybody who is watching, every single one of us. We all have an obligation to not just this country, but to this meme, this idea of democracy, that power flows from the people, not from the leaders.
Thom Hartman, thank you so kindly.
It's always an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you, Egberto. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, that was Tom. I spoke to him over the weekend. And we have a longer interview, 34 minutes, but we'll do that after Fund Drive. We already played it to our Substack listeners, but it's going to come here to KPFT after the Fund Drive. And attend that Thom Hartman event. Thom Hartman, look, I've worked with Thom Hartman for a long, long time, and I remember when he I'm like, that's the way it's done. We brought him to DC. He was already stationed in DC, but we brought him to a coffee party event on the mall, and it turned his speech and his way of thinking turned that place around, because again, it showed, how he said at the end, I always say, tag, it's you. That is real. Tag, it is you, which means it's on all of us for this change to occur. It's on all of us to maintain our democracy. It's on all of us to maintain the resources that we have to inform. I mentioned at the beginning of this program that MSNBC and CNN all night, they were saturated with the information out of California. But the thousands of protests that are peaceful, that are trying to get back our democracy, that are trying to make sure that you don't lose your Medicaid with the big ugly bill, that is trying to make sure that the sequestration does not occur to get your Medicare. They're telling you they're not cutting Medicare, but there's a bill passed in 20, I think it was 2014, one of those years, that passed something known as the sequestration. And this bill is so bad and so debtful that it will cause sequestration. They're not telling you that on most of the stations, how it will also affect your Medicare, because again, of sequestration that this bill will put into effect. A lot of this, and we are here to tell you that. So don't you think, my brothers and sisters, that we deserve the support? Give Brian a couple of minutes here, and then we'll get back. Brian, real quick, what's up?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I donated to Susan Darrow on Board of Radio, so I bet I can get you some money too just by talking. Generally, what happens is I start speaking, and somebody calls in and gives you a donation. So about this Thom Hartman fellow, is he going to be taking questions or just trying to brainwash people again?
Oh, he'll be taking questions. He'll be taking questions.
Taking questions?
Yes.
I just might pay up some money for that.
Well, go do it right. Brian, put your money where your mouth is on, because he's coming with this politics and right thing. Go ahead and do it right now as soon as you get off the phone.
Yeah. Who raised the taxes in the counties this year? Who did that? Lena Hidalgo?
And what's wrong with that?
She raised taxes, didn't she? What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with raising taxes?
Okay, you complain constantly about taxes being raised by the Republicans. That's not true.
No, I don't ever you've never hear me say I'm complaining about taxes raised by Republicans. You never hear me say that. I'm for raising taxes in many different areas. But continue, brother.
Okay, let's talk about Thom Hartman for just a second, and I'll go back, because it does involve taxes. He lives on a boat. Guess what? He doesn't pay taxes, does he?
Okay.
You know that?
No, I don't know that. But go ahead, make your point. No, I didn't know that, but that doesn't that doesn't bother me. But go ahead, make your point, sir.
It doesn't bother you that someone cannot tell the truth?
All right, no, that's not true. But anyway, anything else you want to add, Brian? Before I move on, I got to pitch and give you some time to get that Thom Hartman ticket.
Yeah. Don't be. I wish he just wasn't a hypocrite. That's all.
All right. Okay, brother. Thank you for calling, Brian. Have a good one. Okay, look, folks, I don't know what to say about Brian. Brian, I'm waiting to see your name on the come up now so I can say thank you, Brian. You get onto my show every day. Welcome aboard, Penny Boggis, Martin Cohen, G Bear. Well, I called you out already, G. You know you're my brother. Jay Garman, Otto Di Netto, Dale. I gave a shout out to. I can't say that on air, March KJ. I can't say that on air. All right, Free Spirit 57, welcome aboard as well. And to my other chat, E2247, welcome as well, Billy Irwin. Look, thank you guys for being here. Getting serious here, folks. You see what's happening in LA right now. You see how it's reported. You see that there are thousands of protests going on all over the country, and not to mention Marge K says they can't get the coverage that they need out there. I told Marge, send me the videos, send me the pictures. I will create a little bit of attention for that as well through the different platforms where I go through. Again, that being Daily Kos, where I'm a contributing editor, as well as Op-Ed News and a few other places. So again, we, like Coffee Party said back in the heyday, we have to be our own media. We have to go out there and do it ourselves. Because again, the mainstream media, right now, you know what's on the screen on MSNBC? All of that crap that occurs, the smoke and the tear gas and all of that, it confined to a few blocks. I remember during the Black Lives Matter protests, right? Actually, I think, the Black Lives Matter protests with George Floyd. They made it seem like Portland was burning. Coffee Party sent one of our guys down there. It was 4 square blocks where all this rioting and all these things that were happening was around the federal building in Portland, Oregon. 99.9% of Portland, nothing is happening. Everybody going to their cafes, But if you looked at the news, Portland is burning. Just like we're looking at the news, LA is burning. This is nowhere close to what happened during Rodney King. But that is not what sells to these folks that are corporate, the people that get your corporate dollars. So where do you get the truth? That's the kind of stuff we do. I am not putting on, you won't see me write any blogs this week centralizing on LA. Nothing. No blog centralizing on LA. You won't see that. So, I want you guys to understand the reason why supporting stations like ours is so important. Why supporting the kind of work that we do is so important. Because you get the news skewed, and then G Beard, let me just say, spineless Egberto is going to tell you this, my brother G Beard. I have to overcome. When I say I'm talking about folks that are doing this kind of a work. Have to overcome the bad information from the media that's out there that allows a lot of the existence of MAGA. Yes, it works on some of their own prejudices to bring that out. I get it. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is they've been successful. And if they're not folks like me doing this kind of a job, they will continue to bleed and eat more of those who are rational thinkers. I've seen it happen, and I know you've seen it happen as well. The enemy of your enemy is not necessarily your friend. That is why it is so upsetting when we saw the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, come out with a statement implying some sort of an agreement with Elon Musk. I want you to listen to this real short. And then I really want to get down on this issue because Democrats I shouldn't say Democrats. Democratic leaders seem to be completely out of context and out of scope with not just the Democratic base, but the American base, what Americans really, really want and say that they want. Listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Breaking news, Elon Musk and I agree with each other.
Mr. Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, we are not in agreement with Elon Musk. The reason Elon Musk doesn't like the budget is because it doesn't cut enough. Wasn't it enough to see what he did with DOGE? There should be absolutely no association at all with Elon Musk. First of all, it defeats everything we believe in. Money is not speech and corporations are not people. And depending on Elon Musk's money to win, first of all, if we take a look at Wisconsin, we see that if you put the work in, it's not about money solely, it's about effort. What Democrats need to do is Democrats need to go into absolutely every single county in America, especially at this point in rural counties and disaffected areas in urban places that were just left alone. If Democrats want to win, what you do is you go ahead every time a hospital closes, is you go out there and you show the receipts as to why that hospital closed. Every nursing home that is in dysfunction, you should be in front of that nursing home showing what this bill has done and what Republican orthodoxy has done. But we stay and use these expensive consultants who wouldn't know a working class person if they walked in front of them and decide that they are going to do some kind of a polling to decide what America wants. Well, America has always told us what they wanted. And guess who listened to them? I mean, he never went ahead and supported them. But you know what he did? He heard what they were saying. And we can talk about racism and sexism and all the other isms. But you know what? Even as President Obama didn't keep OFA alive as he should, you know what Obama proved? That economics done correctly actually wins. You remember when they went into Pennsylvania, I think it was, and they asked this most vile racist family who they were voting for. And the woman turned around and she said, "Tell the canvasser, we are voting for the N guy." It's all about the work that you put in. And if there was one thing Obama has to be given credit for all the problems that we have with not standing up as he probably could have a bit more for the Affordable Care Act, the public option, etc. The one thing that man did is he put in the work. I live here in a red district that was saturated with Obama, red area, where I saw, because of the work this guy put in, he worked a methodical way of engaging people. I saw it work, and it would work again. We don't need to pay to get people to the polls. We have to give people a reason to go to the polls. And saying, I agree with Elon Musk isn't one of them. Chuck Schumer going on his show on CNN saying the Democrats are in agreement and we're bringing Donald Trump's poll numbers down. But are you bringing yours up? Are you encouraging anybody to vote for you? It is imperative. It is imperative that our grassroots movement do the job, because it is clearly evident that a whole lot of these folks are just spinning their wheels. They're just going with the status quo. They don't see the clear and present danger that we're in. They talk it. Oh, we are going into autocracy. We're doing this. Where the hell are you in the neighborhoods? Where are you? I mean, it's not about TV. It's about investing in the places that touches, reaches, hugs, bleeds with people. And that's what we're not seeing. It's about investing in your infrastructure that actually touches people. You know, the Republicans invest in their bloggers. The Republicans invest in, and I'm talking the right wing now, and all these guys, they invest in their bloggers. It's cheaper than national TV. It's cheaper than TV. It's cheaper than the consultants. They invest in the places that most touches the people. They invest in churches. We could go into neighborhoods and create activities, letting people know that right now, as we're building democracy, rebuilding democracy, that we are there with them, not to a $10,000 consultant or a $20,000 consultant, or having your meetings with the faithful. The faithful are there. You have to go into communities. And look, we had a hospital close in Cleveland, Texas, up the road. Okay. Do you know how many? It's a red area. Do you know how many Democrats were in front of that door to show that hospital closing? 0. We have a lot of times around here where a nursing home is in trouble. You know how many Democrats are in there and there to say this is what we can expect? We have a lot of rural areas where there are currently closed hospitals. How many of them are out there in front of these places making their, with bloggers and other folks that can disperse the message outside of the mainstream media, who has no interest of putting that information out? How many of these closed hospitals could we use as staging ground for bloggers, for writers, for media? Not necessarily the mainstream, but if you bring 100 bloggers into an area, and you get from around the country, and you get them to print this all over the place. Yes, it's not ABC, but it's 100 tiny distribution sources that then gets replicated throughout the domain. You know who does that? The Republicans. That's why they can win with a lousy message. That is why they can win as they harm. When are we going? But here's the reality. Many get upset when we talk about the neoliberal Democrats versus the progressive Democrats. Many get upset about that discussion. That is a divisive argument. Okay, is it? Why is it that we are so close as soon as Elon Musk dumps the president, we're ready to say, okay, well, I'm in agreement with him on this. Why are we ready for that? Don't you think he'll dump you as quick as possible as well? But where is his heart? He's a South African, an apartheid South African with apartheid predilections. Where is our spine? Where is the spine of those who are going to say, to hell with all of this? Let's bring up all those people that are ready to go out there and knock on doors and meet people and talk to them and have block parties and talk about democracy and talk about where are the people doing that kind of arrangements? Where is the investment that costs you less than putting all these things with these expensive plutocratic analysts all over the country? No. If you want to win, this is going to be, you remember Obama used to use a phrase, we are who we've been waiting on or waiting for. It is clear that the leadership has abandoned the ship. The leadership has thrown their hands in the air to see, let's watch Donald Trump fail. Well, we're not going to watch Donald Trump fail. Donald Trump has a history of failing upwards, just like many sects in these United States of America. There are many who are afforded the opportunity to fail upward. No DEI and his administration is loaded with people who have failed upward. Progressives, we have a lot of work to do. Concentrate on the people. Anyone trying to work with Elon Musk, anyone trying to work with big money is just trying to find the easy way out and trying to be bought. Let's not be bought. Let's get to the people. Brother Thomas Sarnik, thank you so kindly for your contribution, sir. All right, let's go to Tom. Come on in, Tom.
Oh, hello, Egberto. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing? How's Michigan right now?
It's pretty hazy out here. It's going to get in the 70s. It's real cool. But I called in and I made a pledge, and I am a sustaining member.
You're clear.
I made a one-time pledge, and I may give again. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that. But I got a little poem today, and I'm going to dedicate it to Jack, because he likes poetry and he's always doing his little things in the morning. And you got a few minutes?
Yes, please do. I love your poetry.
So this is a little different. Everyone knows that Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, that Jack fell down and broke his crown and Jill came tumbling after. But you might not know that Jack and Jill then went to get some help from Dr. Bill to fix Jack's scalp. But when they reached the local clinic, the doors were locked with no one in it. So Jack and Jill went up to the Hill, to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and there they found a big, beautiful bill that cut healthcare funding deeply. Jack, bleeding from his head, began to cry, asked Joni Ernst for some medic's aid for his head. She said, "Too bad if soon you're dead, but all must die, so billionaires and tax cuts can keep getting paid." Now Jill got mad and stitched Jack's head herself with needle and thread. Then Jill, now unafraid of defeat, her conscience only she obeyed, protested and campaigned for her sisters and brothers against Joni and others, then decided to run for a congressional seat up on the Hill and vote against any big, bad, ugly bill for greedy billionaires made, but vote instead to pass laws of, by, and for we the people, so that if anyone had a fall, like Jack, and hurt their head or back, there would someday soon be full funding for Medicaid and Medicare for all. Not the end, just the beginning.
Dang, Tom.
Rhyme.
Wait, Tom, your limerick, you do some magic with limericks.
Yeah, this isn't quite a limerick, but it's a little kind of a nursery rhyme extended, but similar to limerick, yeah.
Well, I hope you post it to the site, my brother. I hope you post it to the site. You know, you have a window right there to put all that great stuff that you do, brother.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I will do more of that, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day, Tom. My name is Egberto Willies. Love you all. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.